Hi everyone, today I thought I would show you how to create these fab background pages for your art journal. Now I keep an art journal for experimenting in, and it's the way that I sort of find new ways of doing things, different techniques, and then I may well turn the pages into cards or MDF projects or home interior things. But the art journal pages, for me, they're an experimental page so that I can learn the techniques and test out different ideas, and then from there I will take the ideas and I'll turn them into my projects that I'm then going to use in different ways. I might use it for something to go on the wall, a piece of art, or I might use it for card making, but an art journal is a really good place to start. So this technique here that I'm going to show you today is using Imagination Craft spray inks. Now because they are a water-based ink, I'll just put that one to one side, because they're a water-based ink, it means that you can play around with them and experiment with them, and they will react in different ways to different mediums. So the three colours that I've chosen today are orange, yellow and red. And what I've done here is I've shown you different ways in which you can do it to get different effects, but the same thing. So all I've done is I've used salt. Now this is a rock salt, but you could use table salt. The reason I've used a rock salt is because it's chunkier granules, so when it's hitting the wet ink it's actually creating a textured effect. And hopefully you can see from this one here, this one is wetter than the other one. So the other one I did probably about 15 minutes ago, this one I did about 5 minutes ago. Now what's happening here is the salt is drawing in the moisture, so it's drawing in the moisture, and as it does that it's actually drawing in the pigment as well. So I'm getting a slight sort of bleached effect around the edges of the salt, but then the salt itself is hanging on to that pigment, and hopefully you can see that here. And I think this is a really lovely background, not just for art journals but also for card making as well. So to do this, all you're going to need is whatever chosen colours of the mixed media paints that you want and some salt. So I've got it all ready because you do need to act quite fast, you don't want the inks to dry. And all I'm going to do is just cover my pages or whatever. This is just scrap pieces of card, probably about 300 GSM is the best, because you don't want to use thin card because it might react in a different way, it might not absorb it well enough. So here we go, straight on as soon as I put that ink on, straight on with the salt. And you do that because you don't want it to dry. If it dries too quickly, the salt isn't going to grasp onto the ink. So already you can see that's drying quite quickly. And what's happening here, hopefully you can see this well enough, is certain pieces of salt have actually caught the ink and started reacting, and some of it's just left on the top. Now I quite like that effect because it gives a sort of sandy, sort of rustic effect. But if you don't like it, once it's 100% dry, just tap it off and it will fall off. If you want to keep it on, you can spray varnish over the top, and that will set it in place and keep it in place. So you can see there where it started to react as it's drying. The salt's drawing in that pigment and holding on to the colour, and then around the edge of the salt it's sort of bleaching out. It makes a really good sort of fiery effect, but also tiger sort of colours it strikes me as well. Now I wanted to show you this one because in crafting there's always going to be mistakes or things that don't go quite to plan, and it's important not to throw them away because they can be used in a different way. Now what happened with this one here was I took too long to put the salt on. So I sprayed the ink on and then I was fumbling around for the salt and it took me too long, and the salt sort of just sat on the surface there. The only area where it started to react in the way that I wanted was in the centre, where there was obviously a little bit more wet pooling of the ink itself. So there we go, you can see how it's very different. The salt hasn't reacted as it was planned to. But as I say, it's really important not to throw away the pieces that you didn't go to plan. You can use it in a different way because it's still going to look pretty, it's still going to have a different effect, and let's face it, no one else is going to know that you didn't plan it to go that way. So hopefully this has given you a different idea of how you can use those mixed media spray inks. I'm going to do a few more videos now with some other techniques. If you've got any questions, as always, just give me a shout. Thanks for watching.